If you're on a UK visa right now, or even thinking about one, stop everything and listen to this because your entire future in this country could be ripped apart by three massive immigration shifts happening in 2026 that the government is keeping shrouded in secrecy. Yeah, you heard that right. Secrecy that's designed to catch you off guard, force you into impossible decisions, and maybe even push you out of the UK altogether. I'm talking about changes that will hit your wallet, your family life, and your dreams harder than you can imagine. And if you're watching this, you need to hear every word because ignoring it could cost you everything you've built here. Welcome to UK Visa Update, where we cut through the government's smoke and mirrors to give you the real story on staying in Britain. Picture this. You're a skilled worker who's been grinding away in London for years, sending money back home, building a life, and suddenly, bam, your salary doesn't cut it anymore for renewal. Or you're an international student who's just graduated excited about that 2-year grace period to launch your career, only to find the door to a proper work visa slamming shut because of some hidden check you never saw coming. And if you've got a spouse or kids waiting to join you, get ready for financial hurdles that feel like they're straight out of a nightmare, with costs piling up in ways that could split your family for good. These aren't just tweaks. These are earthquakes in the UK immigration system, and the Home Office is playing it coy, burying details in endless guidance docs that most people never even find. Why? Because vagueness lets them control the narrative, reduce numbers without the backlash of outright bans, and make it all seem like it's for the greater good. But you and I know better. This is about politics, budgets, and making life tougher for immigrants like us. Let me break it down for you because if you're one of the millions affected, the urgency here is real. We're not talking distant future stuff. These changes are rolling out in 2026, but the groundwork is being laid now with consultations and quiet announcements that slip under the radar. The scale of this? Huge. Last year alone, over 700,000 people came to the UK on work, study, or family visas, and experts are predicting a drop of at least 20 to 30% once these hit full force. That's hundreds of thousands of lives disrupted. Doctors, teachers, engineers, families from India, Nigeria, the Philippines, all facing barriers that weren't there before. And it's not just newcomers. If you've been here for years, renewing could become a battle you didn't sign up for. The government's own impact assessments admit this will deter lower-skilled migration. But what they don't say is how it's pricing out everyday people who keep this country running. Think about the human side of this because it's heartbreaking. I remember hearing from a viewer last month, a nurse from Ghana who's been in the NHS for 3 years, saving lives during the pandemic. But her admin side gig doesn't meet the new thresholds, and now she's staring down a renewal denial that could send her packing, leaving her British-born kid behind. Or the student from China who poured everything into a master's in engineering, only to get grilled on whether his entry-level job relates enough to his degree, turning his dream into a deportation risk. And families? Oh man, the stories pour in. A British guy married to a woman from Brazil, earning just under the threshold as a warehouse manager in Birmingham. He's got to choose between his job here or moving abroad to be with his wife. These aren't statistics. These are real people losing sleep, fighting anxiety, and watching their plans crumble because the system suddenly decided they're not valuable enough. The emotional toll is massive. Depression rates among immigrants are spiking, relationships are straining under the uncertainty, and kids are caught in the crossfire, not knowing if they'll see both parents again. If you're watching this and feeling that knot in your stomach, you're not alone. This is hitting communities hard, from bustling South Asian hubs in Leicester to African diasporas in Manchester, where whispers of who's next are everywhere. Now, let's dive into the technical nitty-gritty, because understanding the mechanics is your first line of defense, starting with those work visa salary thresholds. It's not just a simple hike. It's a targeted restructure using something called Standard Occupational Classification Codes, or SOC codes for short. Every job has one, and the Home Office is tying thresholds to them. For protected sectors like healthcare, where the NHS is bleeding staff, Nurses on code 2231 might see their minimum stay at around 23,200 because without them, hospitals collapse. Same for teachers in shortage areas, maths, physics, modern languages under codes like 2314. Their bar is lower to keep classrooms filled. But flip to hospitality, say a restaurant manager under 11,090, and you're looking at a jump from $26,200 to potentially $38,700, especially if it's not deemed high-skilled. IT support. Code 3131 could push you over $30,000, and in regions outside London, where average salaries hover lower, sponsors might not even bother offering that. The calculation, it's based on the 25th percentile of earnings data from the annual survey of hours and earnings, updated annually, so it's fluid and unforgiving. And renewals, if your visa was granted under old rules, transitional provisions might grandfather you in, but only if your job code hasn't changed and you've got continuous employment proof. Miss that, and you're recalibrated to the new levels. Boom! Refusal. Shifting to student visas, the post-study landscape is getting a makeover that's sneaky as hell. The graduate route stays 2 years post-degree to work or job hunt, but the hop to skilled worker is where they tighten the screws. New verification protocols mean your sponsor has to justify how your degree aligns with the role. Studied economics, but landing in finance ops? Fine, probably, but if it's art history to retail management, they'll probe for genuine skill match. Using a points-based system where relevant scores low could tank your app. Plus, they're hunting visa mills, firms sponsoring grads en masse without real jobs. If your employer's license shows disproportionate international hires versus UK staff, red flag. Data from the sponsor management system gets cross-checked, and if anomalies pop, your case goes to enhanced scrutiny, which could delay decisions by months. For those already on graduate, if you started pre-2026, you might be shielded, but only until your visa midpoint. After that, new rules apply retroactively if you're switching. The deadline, vague, but whispers say mid-2026 for transitions. Miss it, and you're in limbo, unable to work legally while appealing. Then there's the family visa bombshell, where costs are exploding in plain sight but hidden in the details. The minimum income requirement holds at $18,600 for a spouse, plus $3,800 per child, but add the Immigration Health Surcharge, now $1,035 per adult per year, upfront for the visa duration. For a couple with one kid on 5-year paths, that's over $15,000 just in IHS before the $1,048 application fee per person. And it's not one and done. Post-arrival random compliance checks can demand 6 months of pay slips, tax returns, even utility bills to prove ongoing finances. Dip below the threshold, say redundancy hits, and revocation looms with no grace period. For British sponsors, it's especially cruel. No exemptions for low earners in essential jobs, so a care worker in Scotland on £17,500 can't bring their partner, forcing relocation or separation. And the fine print? Buried in Appendix FM of the immigration rules, with cross-references to financial appendices that change quarterly. Don't forget the settlement shakeup, extending indefinite leave to remain from 5 to 10 years for medium-skilled routes. High earners over $50,000 or protected roles like medics stay at 5. But others, it hinges on whether your SOC code is above RQF level 6. Think engineers, yes, technicians, maybe not. Guidance is fuzzy with phrases like subject to review, leaving room for case officers to interpret. If you're midway, transitional rules apply if you can prove entry under old timelines via entry clearance vignettes and biometric data. But the onus is yours. Lose a payslip, and you're reset to 10 years, adding half a decade of uncertainty. So, what's the government's response to all this chaos? Deliberate ambiguity? That's what. The Home Secretary's statements are all high-level fluff, balancing migration with economic needs. But no clear lists of protected jobs, no public dashboards for thresholds, just endless PDFs on Gov.uk that update without fanfare. Oversight, Parliament's Migration Advisory Committee flags concerns, but their reports get buried, and judicial reviews are swamped. Advocacy groups like the Joint Council for the Welfare of Immigrants are screaming about human rights breaches under Article 8 of the ECHR, Right to Family Life. But the Gov pushes back with public interest defenses. And enforcement? Beefed up with AI-flagged applications and more sponsor audits. But transparency is zilch. Freedom of information requests get redacted, leaving us in the dark. All right, if you're still with me, here's where we turn this around with step-by-step guidance to shield yourself. First off, audit your status today. Pull your visa grant letter, check expiry, compare your salary to projected thresholds via the ONS earnings data tool. If it's close, negotiate a raise now. Employers know renewals depend on it. Second, document everything. Scan payslips, contracts, even emails confirming job offers. Use a secure folder app like Google Drive with timestamps. Third, for students, align your job hunt early, get a career advisor to map degree to roles, and avoid small sponsors. Check the register of licensed sponsors on Gov UK for red flags like recent audits. Fourth, family applicants, build your financial portfolio months ahead. 3 to 6 months of bank statements showing consistent income. P60s and if self-employed, SA 302 forms. Factor in IHS calculators online to budget. Fifth, time your applications. Aim 4 to 6 months before expiry, opting for priority if affordable, but verify eligibility first. Sixth, monitor updates. Set Google alerts for UK immigration changes 2026 and follow official channels like Swatchhawk UK Home Office on X, but cross-reference with reliable sites like Free Movement Blog. If things go south, escalation options are key. Start with administrative review, 80 fee, 28 days to challenge a refusal on errors. If denied, judicial review via the upper tribunal, but that's $2,000 plus in legal costs and months of wait. For family cases, appeal on human rights grounds, citing exceptional circumstances like child welfare. Communities help too. Join expat forums on Reddit like Artyuk Visa or Facebook's UK Immigration Support Group for peer advice, but verify with pros. And if oversight feels lacking, complain to the Independent Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration. Their reports pressure the Gov, though change is slow. But let's zoom out on the oversight mess. It's not just vague, it's systemic. The Home Office's error rate in decisions is around 10%, per their own audits, yet accountability is minimal. No mandatory impact assessments for every tweak, and parliamentary scrutiny is rushed with bills like the Illegal Migration Act setting precedents for opacity. Watchdogs like the UKVI complaints team handle gripes, but resolutions favor the system. Public consultations? Tokenistic, with responses ignored if they don't fit the net migration target of under 100,000. It's a power imbalance where immigrants foot the bill, visa fees fund 80% of operations, yet have zero say. Now, as we wrap this up, think back to why you came to the UK. Maybe it was for opportunity, like that engineer from Pakistan who built a tech startup in Cambridge, or the teacher from Jamaica filling gaps in inner-city schools. These changes are hurdles thrown up by a system under pressure, but they're not unbreakable walls. You've got resilience in your blood. Generations before you crossed oceans for better lives, and you can too. Arm yourself with knowledge, act now, and remember, every challenge overcome makes you stronger. If this hit home, smash that like button to spread the word. Your share could save someone's family. Subscribe to UK Visa Update and bell those notifications. We're your front line against these shifts. Comment below, what's your visa story and how are you prepping? I read them all, and they fuel our fight. Together we'll navigate this storm because your place in Britain isn't just a visa, it's a hard-won home. Stay vigilant, stay strong, and until next time, keep pushing forward.